Hey everybody, Cinema Sickness here. I just got back from seeing The Thing. Perhaps a brief history lesson before I get into the movie. In 1938, there was a novel written called Who Goes There by John W. Campbell. Then in 1951, the first film adaptation of that novel called The Thing from Another World came out. That was done by Howard Hawks, and obviously in its own right, a sci-fi classic. Fantastic movie. One of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made. Then in 1982, John Carpenter came along and did his version called The Thing. Now, some people call that movie a remake. I don't see it as a remake. The reason being is because The Thing from Another World didn't really stick too close to the original novel. It strayed off, took a bunch of liberties, wasn't exactly like it. Whereas John Carpenter's version, that movie stuck more to the novel. So I don't really see it as a remake so much as just another telling of the story that sticks closer to the novel. Since John Carpenter wasn't really trying to remake the same movie ever again, he was trying to just tell the story from the novel. So I think I don't really see it as a remake. I just see it as another telling of the story. So now, fast forward to 2011, now, and we get the prequel, also called The Thing, which is sort of weird, calling the prequel to The Thing, The Thing. I have mixed feelings towards calling it that, because the question is, why do they call it The Thing? Theories are that I personally have, maybe somebody in Hollywood is actually smart, which pretty much debunks my theory right there, but maybe somebody actually went, hey, we're just tacking another hour and a half on to the beginning of John Carpenter's film, because it literally is a direct prequel where it goes right up to where it ends right where John Carpenter's movie starts off. So it's just a continuation. So maybe somebody went, since we're just tacking an extra hour and a half on to the beginning of John Carpenter's movie, it's not a different movie, it's just another hour and a half added to the movie. Why not just call it The Thing, since the whole movie, this movie plus John Carpenter's movie all together is just called The Thing. If that's what they were going for, that's actually kind of genius. I like that. That's a smart idea. I'm down for that. But I don't know if that's really why they did it. My guess as to why they probably did it, the theory that I'd probably go with, is just to get more butts in the seat. You call it The Thing, you kind of confuse people. They don't know, is it a sequel, is it a prequel, is it a remake, what is The Thing? So confusing people, not having them not know, having them be curious as to what this is, you're going to get people to go and see the movie. That's my guess of why they called it that. And most people I spoke to thought the movie was a remake going into it. A lot of my friends thought it was that. The friend I went to see the movie with thought it was that. People I've talked to before I saw the movie thought it was a remake. And I actually, in myself, thought it was a remake as well. I went into this movie thinking The Thing was going to be a remake, not a prequel. It wasn't until after the movie was over that I even realized it was a prequel. I don't usually look too much into movies, read about movies before I go and see them. Not because I'm worried about spoilers and stuff. I could care less about spoilers. That's not going to stop me from going to see a movie. It's just because I just don't. I don't know why. I just never really bothered to check out. I never really bothered to read up on movies about what they're about. I just figured, I'll see them. That's when I'll learn what the movie's about. I don't need to know beforehand. Sure, every now and then I'll see a review or read a review, or somebody will tell me about the movie, and if that's the case, fine. But otherwise, I really don't read up on the movie. So The Thing, I hadn't heard anything. I hadn't heard anything about The Thing at all. So I went into it thinking, okay, this is a remake, and it wasn't. In the very beginning of the movie, they say they take place in 1982, and at that point, I went, okay, I wonder if this is a remake. This might actually be a prequel or maybe a sequel. And then the very last scene in the movie, obviously that gave it away. That made me say, oh, okay, it's obviously a prequel, since it's literally ending right where John Carpenter's movie starts. So, okay. But the fact that I went into this movie thinking it was a remake was probably a good thing. Because I went into it thinking that, I was actually looking for all the similarities between the two movies. I was trying to think, okay, what did they add in? What did they keep? What happened there? And so I noticed that this film was a lot like John Carpenter's movie. It had a lot of similar scenes. It almost felt like a remake in a way. It was very much like his movie. Again, a lot of the scenes, a lot of some of like for instance, in John Carpenter's movie, there's like the spider head guy. Well, there's a scene sort of like that. It's not a spider head; it's like a whole spider body. But there's that, and yeah, I realize it's the same alien, so it would probably be doing the same things, probably making those, spider type stuff. But it was just scenes like that, and certain little scenes that just, came out of like the John Carpenter version. So that I'm glad I went into it looking at it like that, because I realized, just how much they were sort of ripping that movie off. But really, when it comes down to it, my thoughts on the film are, it fell flat. John Carpenter's The Thing. It's two things. A, obviously, it's a gory movie. It's very special effects based, and that's one of the reasons why people love that movie so much, is because of all the great gore, all the great special effects. It's one of the best things about the movie. But the other half, the other greatness of that movie, besides obviously how it was written, directed and stuff, obviously that's great, but it's the suspense. The suspense in John Carpenter's The Thing is what makes that movie so great. You never know who's the alien. You never know where the alien is. They're just isolated in this, like out in the Arctic in this base. There's nobody around, just this group of people. And, what's going to happen next? That's how John Carpenter's the movie was. That's what we kept getting. We kept getting suspense after suspense after suspense. And that's one of the things that made that movie so good. That's what got you on the edge of your seat. That's what kept you really into the story. They kept you guessing, who was the alien? You don't know. Whereas in the prequel, they don't really have any suspense whatsoever. They try to. You can tell they're trying to give suspense. But maybe if they would have done a 2-hour movie instead of like an hour-and-a-half movie, you would have gotten some of that suspense. But instead, the alien comes and it, obviously I'm sure if you guys seen the movies, you know that the alien can like mimic any like animal life form. It can mimic a dog or a human or cat, bear, whatever. So obviously it's mimicking mimics a dog at one point, but obviously it's mimicking humans, and you never know, is that person sitting next to me, is that actually them or is that the alien? You don't know. So in the prequel, they don't really let it build up enough. They're going, oh, who's an alien? We don't know. Oh, that guy's an alien. Who's an alien? We don't know. Oh, that guy. It keeps just coming at you, where they just keep saying he's an alien, he's an alien, he's an alien, he's an alien, as opposed to making you sit there and think, ooh, who is the alien? There are some moments where they try to build it up, but I just think just too quickly they jump into showing you who is the alien, and I just that bugs me. There's like one scene where they figure out that like the alien can't mimic like art or like metals and stuff like that. Like there's fillings in your teeth, it can't mimic them. So they're checking the mouths of everybody to see, if you have fillings, obviously you're not an alien, but if you don't have fillings, you could be one. There's like that scene, but I think too quickly that scene's just kind of over with. Maybe they should have gone with that for a little bit longer. Just this again, that's my major downfall of this movie, is there was no suspense. It just never got suspenseful. And that's what the movie really needed. So maybe if they would have done maybe like a 2-hour movie and use that extra half hour to build up some more suspense in certain areas, it would have been a better film. Was the film bad? Not necessarily. I'd say it's mediocre. It's a mediocre sci-fi film. Was it worth seeing? Not in theaters. I would say rent it. I'd say it's worth a watch. I can't say it was bad. It's not like I hated the movie. It's not like I didn't enjoy it. I just didn't love it. I just think it was great. I didn't think it was as good as it should have been. If it wouldn't have been made, that would have been fine by me. I don't necessarily think this movie needed to be made. I wouldn't have lost anything by this movie not being made. But, yeah, sure, check it out. I mean, go rent it. Don't pay to see this in the theater, though. Wait till it comes to like Redbox or whatever your rental options are, Netflix or something, and rent it for really cheap. Buying it, I'll probably buy it. I mean, well, I'll buy it because I'm a completist. I gotta own all prequels and sequels, so I'll be picking it up for that reason. But I'll watch it again. It wasn't horrible. If you like sci-fi movies, you'll probably enjoy it. You just won't love it because it's not fantastic. It's just kind of a popcorn movie, just something to sit down and just watch, not really get into, not take too seriously. It's not like John Carpenter's The Thing. That movie's going to be talked about for decades to come. It's going to be looked upon as one of the greatest like sci-fi horror movies probably ever made. Whereas the prequel, it's going to fall into the wasteland. Nobody's going to be talking about that movie in like 5 years from now. It just wasn't that great. But again, I would say it's worth, if you're interested in seeing it, I would say give it a rent, check it out. But In the end, don't go to the theaters to see it. Don't waste your money there. And if you're gonna buy it, wait till it drops down in price. Don't buy it on like opening day or like release day and pay like $20 for it. Don't do that. I guarantee this movie will drop down to $9.99 very quickly. You'll probably be able to get on Blu-ray for $9.99 within like a couple of months of it coming out. And I guarantee you within like 6 months to a year, if you can wait that long, if you're, you know, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to wait that long. It's not that great of a movie. You don't need to rush out and see this one. You can wait another year to see this movie. It'll probably drop down to $5. So I would say wait. Other things the movie's missing, not a lot of great gore. The only good real gore scene is where they're dissecting the alien, because they do find an alien in the movie and he ends up breaking out and getting free and they burn him up, which that's another thing. The alien breaks out, gets free, and there's no suspense there because they pretty much capture him right away. There's no real, like, you know, you think maybe for a while in the movie the alien's going to be going around and hunting people down and killing people. No, it takes them about 5 minutes to burn the alien up and capture him. So when they're dissecting the alien, that's kind of cool. That scene was well done. But again, that was using special effects. You know, it's an actual alien open there with his body parts and stuff, not CGI'd up. But then you get the scenes where, like, the alien's bursting out of people's chests and, like, coming out of people's faces, and there's a scene where, like, two bodies start to, like, merge together and stuff like that. It's all CGI. It's a cartoon. I mean, that's what CGI is. CGI is just a cartoon. I can't get into CGI gore. I just can't. It's just, I don't know. I watch and I go, oh, maybe that looks cool and all. It looks okay, but it's not like the original John, especially when you're comparing it to John Carpenter's The Thing. I mean, that's the problem here. You know, if it was its own movie, its own movie with CGI, and it wasn't a prequel to something, then maybe I'd have been like, okay, whatever. I probably wouldn't have cared. You know, obviously I prefer, you know, traditional special effects as opposed to CGI, but I probably wouldn't have really cared that much. I'd be like, whatever. You know, CGI, okay. But when you're making a prequel to a movie that's so full of traditional special effects, and that's what the movie's known for, and you make a movie full of CGI special effects, it kind of takes away from everything. It's like, it takes away from your special effects. It makes your special effects look really, you know, it makes all your, you know, gore and all your stuff and, you know, aliens bursting out, it makes them look weak. You know, it doesn't make them look nearly as good, because CGI just doesn't look nearly as good as traditional special effects. I don't care what people say, it just doesn't. And maybe someday it will. I don't know. I prefer traditional special effects all the way. I think that looks so much better, and that's one of the reasons why I love John Carpenter's The Thing. So that was a downfall. I mean, obviously I wasn't expecting traditional special effects. I was expecting CGI. Everything is CGI nowadays, so that's what I was expecting. But it definitely took away from the movie a bit. That was a shame. I don't really know where else to go about this movie. Again, it just felt a little weak. That was my main downfall. Just wasn't enough suspense. You never really got into the characters too much. You know, I pretty much spent the whole time watching a movie like this. That's it. Never at the edge of my seat. Never like, ooh, what's going to happen next? I just was there, just going, you know, just that was it. Again, I didn't hate the movie. It's not like I felt like I wasted my hour and a half. I got to see the movie for free. I have my best friend, his sister-in-law works for Regal Entertainment, so we get into our movies for free. So luckily I didn't pay anything to see this. Not that I would have paid to go see this movie. So, you know, I didn't waste any money, but that's why I want to say don't go to the theaters and see this, because you will be wasting your money if you go to see it just one time. Rent it for really cheap, or if you do want to buy it for really cheap. Don't pay a lot of money on this. So I don't really know, again, I don't really know what else I can really say about the film, except for the fact that it just wasn't great. It didn't really need to be made. Obviously, they're just making it just to make money, get people in the seats. Everything these days is remakes or sequels or prequels. That's all we see these days, unfortunately. And we're just going to keep getting them as long as we let the theater companies control what Hollywood makes. That's what's going to keep happening, because the theaters want to keep getting people in the seats, and they keep wanting what people know. They want stuff that already has a fan base built up. They want stuff like prequels and sequels and remakes, and they want stuff like, you know, G.I. Joe and Transformers and Smurfs. You know, things that people already have. You know, that's something there's already a fan base for, that they know people are going to want to go see, as opposed to some new movie that may or may not do well. So, oh well. Yeah, I don't know. again, I will say that it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It's worth a watch. I will say that if you like sci-fi movies, it's definitely worth checking out because it was okay. It just wasn't fantastic. And when you're basically making adding an extra hour and a half onto such a fantastic movie, it kind of takes away from the movie. I'm not gonna really get into the movie too much. I'm not gonna give any spoilers away, just because since I didn't love the movie, I don't want to take anything away from it. If a movie's really, really good, I don't mind spoiling it because it's such a great movie on its own. If I give away the entire plot, that's not going to make it not a good movie. Even if you know what's going to happen, it's still going to be a fantastic movie. You should still see it. Whereas a movie that's not so good, if I give away some of the plot, that's just taking even more away from the movie. I want to at least try to, any little bit of surprises there are in this film, I would like to kind of at least leave for you. A lot of it's also predictable. I'll say that about the film also. A lot of this film some of it's predictable. Especially I won't give it away, but there's a scene involving an earring at the very end that they make so blatantly obvious that's where they're going with it. They do like this big close-up of the ear at one point that just seems really out of place. Like the film, like the angle of the camera is just so weird that's on this guy's ear. And you're like, why is the camera on the guy's ear? And you know why, because like I said, in the beginning, or in the film, they realize that it can't mimic like metals and stuff like that. So you obviously, I guess I am kind of giving this away a bit, but you obviously know they're painting on the ear to show the guy's not an alien. So you kind of know what's coming later on. But it was just so predictable. So a lot of the film also is predictable. But I'm going to stop here because I know I'm just kind of rambling on. So in the end, mediocre, fell flat, predictable, not nearly as good as John Carpenter's The Thing. That movie's just fantastic. One of the greatest sci-fi horror movies ever made. This film does not even come close to living up to it. But all in all, it's not the worst one I've ever seen. I can't say I hated it. I just didn't really care for all that much. I just didn't think it needed to be made. And if you want to see it, I would say fine, check it out. But just don't pay to see it in the theaters. Do not waste your 10 or 15 or however many, way too much money they charge these days for seeing movies. Don't waste your money on that. Get it from, like I said, get it from Redbox or Netflix. Rent it for $1 if you can, like most of those places do. Rent it for really cheap, and then check it out and decide. And if you want to pick it up, do not buy it on release day. Do not pay $20 for this movie. You will be disappointed. You will have wasted your money. Wait till it drops down to, maybe on Blu-ray for $9.99 or on DVD for like $5. Just hold off. Just don't waste your money on this. So that's basically it. I'm gonna shut up now. So yeah, not too much to say. If you guys see it, let me know your thoughts, or if you have seen it, let me know your thoughts on the film. I am curious to hear what you thought about it. But in the end, I just thought it was alright, mediocre, not the best. Meh. That's all I can really say about it. So see you guys later.